The auto turret, the bringer of destruction, a beacon of unparalleled strength, with enough uses to transcend the rust dimension. Learn its strength or die to it. Wait, what the hell am I saying? What I meant to say was the auto turret, a very strong electrical component that has many uses. In this video, we're going to go over some of the best ways you can use it. First, if you're wondering where I've been, well, I've started up the stream too. Check me out. Let's start with the basics. The auto turret is a level 2 item that costs 10 high qual, a camera, and a laptop to craft. It costs 500 scrap to research out of the research table. If you work your way down the level 2 tech tree like this, it will cost you a total of 1330 scrap to get it. A turret does require electricity to work, which we'll elaborate more on later, but the first question is, what weapon do we put in it? You could of course put anything in it, but the most common one is the Python. The Python does a ton of damage, shoots very quickly, and with its low crafting costs, you will see this in most turrets. Although much more expensive and late game, the second most popular is putting in a bolty with instant ammo. One shot absolutely tears through a raider's full metal armor, and they will have to full heal every time they get hit. So obviously the turret is strong on its own, but I see a lot of bad practices when it comes to how they are used. The most common is adding turrets like this inside your compound. Now these do serve their purpose in protecting your compound from intruders, but they are easy targets for a raider. Although a turret does do a lot of damage, the downside is they are very easy to break. It only takes 3 high velocity rockets to break one. Side note, this also drops the weapon inside it, so another reason not to put something like an M2 in it. But since these are easy to break, the goal is to make them as hard to shoot as possible. The biggest problem is that you could break these while behind cover. This lets you deal with only one angle at a time, which makes it much easier on a raider. One thing you can add to complement these types of turrets is this. This will be different for each base with different dimensions, but here's the idea. On a foundation, we can add 2 half walls like this, with the opening facing directly towards your main base. This gives you a little compartment for your turret. Now this turret won't have the coverage behind it for the breach like the rest of these, however this turret has a very strong idea behind it. In a real raid, you would first have to come out here to the breach and clear out all of the turrets like normal, but check out this last one. In order to break it, you'll have to come in really close like this to aim near it. This means coming further into the courtyard, losing cover from the high walls, and opening yourself up to all other defensive angles from the main base design. If you've ever done an online raid, you'll know that this is a very uncomfortable position right here. Another benefit of this is that it will stop raiders from pummeling your core out really quickly and just running right in, because these will definitely destroy them before they can make it up a ladder. Speaking of cover, one of the downsides to this is it also gives the raider slight cover while in your courtyard. This you may or may not want, so there is a way to fix it. So here's another cool thing I don't see much of, but is definitely worth it and really strong. By adding wall frames below the turret compartment like this, you can eliminate some of the places a raider can hide. From something like a defense floor on your main base, anyone standing behind it now is an easy target. But why stop there? We can even stack these by building this following structure. This will allow you 2 turrets on top of each other, making the elimination process even harder for the raiders. All of these additions are completely base and terrain dependent, but they are super strong when used right. The next great way to use turrets is in the lower part of your Peekdowns. This is a very basic square footprint, but the basic concept won't change with complexity here. These are literally to buy you time when getting raided. When the raiders breach your walls, they should have to deal with at least 2 of these no matter which side the breach is on. These should also be placed in combination with other vantage points, all to help you win the defense. As you can see here, a turret on each side in combination with floor angles, raised windows, the upper peaks, and even the door will be hard to get past in an online raid. No matter which side you breach on this base, this will be exactly what you see, minus the double door. Another thing you can add into your lower peaks to complement the turrets is this, and we'll use the same base as the example here. I've added these garage doors around each turret. These are to section off your Peekdowns in an online raid. Let's say the raid is breached just like this. If they end up taking out a turret successfully, the garage doors are your next line of defense. By simply closing them, the raiders no longer have the ability to get further around your base. For them to do this, they will have to raid through the garage doors or deal with the rest of the angles you already have. The same goes for this side. They will basically be trapped where they started while wasting time, which is a good thing for the defenders. Garage doors are not the only thing you can use here though. Another variation of this is using prison cell doors. These aren't as strong as the garage door and can be annoying to have in your base while not getting raided, but they do allow you to see the raiders and fight them a bit better. The choice is yours here. Just remember that the main reason for these in the first place is to keep raiders in one section of your lower peekdowns, which will restrict their movement and make the defense easier for you. The next most common area to place turrets, especially with helis being so strong now, is the roof. We'll get to the defense floors next, but let's start up here first. So many things to keep in mind when placing these. Where do we start? Okay, the first thing is that every turret should be in line of sight with another, something like this. The main goal here is to make sure there is no side of the roof that the raiders can land on that isn't covered by multiple turrets. Not doing this will leave a weak spot that honestly makes the base an easy raid, as they will be able to land and easily take out the rest of your turrets, probably one by one. The next thing you'll have to account for is that people can fly around in a mini with a launcher and hover above the turrets out of their range and break them. This is the most annoying thing ever, and unfortunately, it cannot be stopped 100%. There is a way to make it much more difficult though. There are a few ways to do this, but the main idea is to simply block off the top and as many sides as you can without nerfing the turret into a waste of materials. Now from a heli, it is much harder to hit. The pilot will actually have to take a much wider angle on it, and depending on where your windmills are, this can be next to impossible. As far as building, there are many variations on how exactly to do this. Just keep in mind the turrets still need to do their thing. For example, this turret here needs to hold both of these angles, which is why there is only one half wall behind it. On this side here, it also needs to hold two angles, so what I'm saying is adding a wall here would totally defeat the purpose, which is what I mean by try not to nerf the turret itself by doing this. This will obviously be different for every roof design, but the idea is very strong when used correctly. When putting tops over your turrets, you must also be careful not to make landing somewhere on your roof easier, since these turrets won't be able to aim upwards as much. One final thing with roof turrets is the spacing between them, and the hatches going down. You don't want raiders to be able to splash the turret and the hatch in this case, because that would make it slightly cheaper to raid. This is not nearly as important as the compartments, but just something to keep in mind. In the defense floor, I like to have at least one turret holding the way in, and in this case there's also a way down. It's ideal to have the turrets intersect like we did on the roof, but with restricted space up here, this may be harder. Make sure not to leave any dead zones that no turret can see, and you should be fine overall. One big mistake that I see people make is, so for example this base is designed to stop this. The defense floors here are built on external TCs, so the stability is not bound to the main core. You can see there is a small gap around the entire thing. I see a lot of bases that don't do this, and when you breach through the walls, which would be the normal raid path, you actually lose the stability holding up the floors that the turrets are placed on. This will literally break the turrets and it's a total waste. A common way to raid a base this big would be to open up the defense floor so that the raiders can get access to it. So I like to have these turrets in a spot that is ideally not close enough to a gap for a rocket to hit it. But once again, this will all come down to your exact base design. It's just something to keep in mind. Now the final thing, the electrical aspect. The electrical hookup is very simple. Now there are many advanced things you can do with all these connections, but we're going to stay simple here and only use the electrical input to power it up. First thing is power collection. This will be either windmills or solar panels. This goes into a battery to hold the charge. From the battery output will go into the switch's input. This could be a regular switch, but the smart switch here allows you to turn this on or off from your cell phone. The most common thing then is using a branch, which helps you string multiple turrets on the same circuit. For each turret, you want to go from the branch out node to the electrical in on the turret. If you notice the turret still isn't working, this is because it takes 10 power, which you can change here. Then it will turn on. Like I said, you could turn this on and off in-game here or using your cell phone. To add another turret to this circuit, as long as you have enough power, you'll want to go from the power out node to the power input node on this next branch. Then once again you could branch off 10 power and connect the next turret. Like I said, this is the most basic circuit you can use just to get the turrets working. If you're interested in the electrical aspect of this game and you want to see the full power of what can be done here, I would check out the Rushtrition website. Remember to check me out on Twitch. You could also join the Discord or the comments below to get a hold of me. All links in the description below. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. See ya!